Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And we're going to look at Glasgow parking. This is something I've done a video on before, and I sort of threw up some problems with it that were easily and obviously seen. Easy and obvious to me because I'm not a complete idiot. Easy and obvious for you because you lot aren't complete idiots either. Unfortunately, Glasgow Council, as we know, is filled with them. But other people have now seen the problems and they're coming out and calling it out and saying the dangers involved in following through on a policy badly thought out on so many different levels and which will ultimately make life far more dangerous for vulnerable women. And it's something that it needs to be addressed, it needs to be reversed and certainly abandoned because it is such an appallingly bad idea on so many levels. And it is nice to see someone else, in political circles, realising what we realised straight away. They're not bright. That's why they go into politics, but they can't get a job anywhere else, can they? But they have finally, or some of them, one of them, has finally got it. So we'll take a look at this guy and see what he's doing or saying about it. And it's just nice and refreshing that we're not alone. Here goes. So, SNP run Glasgow's parking charge plan leaves women facing a wild west as the centre dies on its arse. Now, these are the things we've said. We said they seem to constantly want to keep people out of the town centre. It means reduced footfall, which means businesses suffer. Businesses close. Once you get a few businesses closing on the high street, and the old whitewash windows and the plasters go up, it makes it less attractive to go there, which means lower footfall for other businesses. It then becomes a domino effect, and next thing you know, the whole street is just filled with kebab shops and charity shops, and that's it. And they're doing it deliberately. Let's keep the cars out. Well, let's keep poor people's cars out, first of all. Now, let's charge people to park at work. Let's charge people for this. Let's put the prices up with that. People have just stopped going. You don't want to walk out of a shop with a load of stuff that you've just bought and have to get home on a bus. You want your car outside, you just dump it in your car and go. That's how it should be. And for these councillors sitting there on their high and mighty ivory towers thinking, oh, look at us being virtuous, look at us banning cars, aren't we great? Meanwhile, the city centre dies. But what's worse, that's just financial. What's worse is women's safety. Because you've got bars, clubs, restaurants and things, the nighttime economy. And if you're charging people £650 to park at work, plus the cost of driving in, plus the, all these other things, it means women will be forced to walk home through dark streets at night because they can't afford the money to park at work. It is lunacy. You're endangering women's lives. They know this. They've been told this. And still they do it. Which goes to show that these people are just misogynistic and economically illiterate and misogynistic. They're absolute morons. Anyway, Nationalist Transport convener Angus Miller claimed there were options open for people wanting to drive into the centre, but has been warned it sent the message Glasgow was closed for business. And it is ridiculous. And there he is. He hasn't got a clue, this guy. Right? He's sitting on the council going, oh, well, we need to do this, we need to do it. You don't need to do it. You're choosing to do it. You're choosing to do it despite what you've been told the harm it will do. And so therefore, you're making a deliberate decision to harm women. You're making a deliberate decision to damage businesses. And when the businesses do move out and go to out of town or go to another town, and you're losing all that revenue, and the centre of Glasgow's dead and then taken over by the zombies, who are you going to blame? Oh, it must be Westminster's fault. I don't think so. Anyway, the SNP has been warned its parking charge extension plan in Glasgow will make the city even less safe for women, as a councillor tried to defend the policy. Because they want to bring the charge up until 10 o'clock at night. We covered this. So you've got this, just parking, car parks and parking on the street, whatever. That's going up until 10 o'clock at night. Which means people can't afford, because it's very expensive to park per hourly rate. And if you're working there on minimum wage in a bar, you can't afford it. It's not worth you going to work. And so that's part of the problem. Then, as I say, the women not parking there, having to walk the streets, dangerous. Then, of course, you've got those that do offer parking. Again, who have to pay $650 a year to park, not on the street, but off the street and in the employer's car park. It's stunning. The level of stupidity, I've got to be honest here, just come out of this a moment. The level of stupidity that is required to be an SNP councillor is, I suggest, something that you would be medically described as a cretin. Literally, you are that far down, very, very low IQs, barely functional as a human being, if you cannot look at what you're proposing and see the obvious problems and pitfalls. Can we stop voting morons in? Can we have IQ tests for anyone who wants to become a politician at any level? Has to sit an IQ test, and it has to be at least 100. That's average, because I think the average person could see what's going on, could see the problems. These people are cretins. Right, the SNP has been warned. Its parking charge extension plan in Glasgow will make the city even less safe for women. As a councillor, tried to defend the policy. How are you? What is defendable? How are you defending making women feel less safe? How are you defending putting women at risk? What is your defence for that? We want to put women at risk because, over to you, you can't defend this. This is indefensible. The city's transport convener, Angus Miller, dismissed suggestions that women would be afraid of leaving their cars at home. Well, you can tell he's never lived with a woman then. Insisting they should just use multi-stories. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? They're just as dangerous, for heaven's sake. This is when he appeared on STV Scotland Tonight on Tuesday. It still means the woman has to walk from her place of employment through dark streets to get to the... You can't... Do you see what I say about these people and their... I've got to be honest, they're fuckwitedness. There is no other word for it. That is how bad they are. Critics insist the plan sends the message that Glasgow is closed for business and will leave vulnerable women relying on the wild west of nighttime public transport. We previously told that the SNP had forced through an extension to parking charge times with the help of their Green allies at the city chambers. And as part of the 2024-25 budget package, the local authority confirmed that it would charge drivers money for parking in the city centre up to 10 p.m. at night. Goodbye city centre, goodbye nighttime economy, goodbye as people say sod that and they go elsewhere. And then the whole of Glasgow closes down because the SNP need the money. The move sparked anger among the business community. Of course it did. Because the business community is filled with people who are 1,000 times more intelligent than the average SNP. My dog is more intelligent than the average SNP councillor. Responding to Councillor Miller's interview on Tuesday, journalist and Glasgow resident Jennifer Jones suggested the extension did not fit with the talk of a feminist city plan. She said the new evening parking charges force women who want to visit the city on their own at night onto the wild west of nighttime public transport, when the city feels more unsafe than it's ever been. Broken windows, if you want to call it that. Mankey Tags, everything is coated with a sort of filth and stinks of grass. This will it, won't it, show up on the bus, show up on time on a bus. Difficult to get taxis at night. If they do show up, they're a small fortune. There is absolutely no incentive to come into the city now. She added she was forced to pay over £11 to park for 2 hours, 500 yards from Sauchiehall Street at the weekend, and said the city centre was dying on its arse. Glasgow City Council Tory leader Thomas Kerr also criticised the plan when he appeared on Scotland Tonight. Everyone's criticising it. Everyone with a brain is saying how appallingly bad it is, because everyone with a brain knows how appallingly bad it is. The trouble is, these people don't. He said the parking charge extension will also impact in places like the West End, would put more shackles on the hospitality sector and send the message the city was closed for business. And he accused the nationalist government in Edinburgh of cutting Glasgow's budget by £500 million since the SNP came to power, but said that councillors were also guilty of wasting money. He said a net zero target of 2030 was laudable, but making the situation worse. And speaking to John McKay, said politicians always have choices. Yeah, one of the choices they need to do is to say, actually, we're really shit at our job and resign. And there is no net zero. It's impossible. Everyone knows it's impossible. Everyone. But they keep pushing it because they need the stick to beat you with. It's all to do with control and nothing to do with the environment. So they can pick on where they want to prioritise, he said. The reality is in Glasgow we waste a lot of money. I've been in the council for 7 years. There's a lot of waste in Glasgow City Council where we could be looking at chewing the fat and making sure we actually fix the problems of our city. Now, if you are someone who works in the city at night and you're a woman, all I say is buy a rape alarm. Because little weasels look like that. Right? Look at him. Does he ever look like he's concerned with the safety of women? I don't think he's ever been with one. I think he's still, probably balls haven't dropped, I think. And he says he's not concerned with the safety of women at night. I'm sure his mother's proud of him. Coming up. And in that, you actually have the SNP, the very essence, I suppose, of the SNP. It's in a nutshell, isn't it? They don't care about business. They don't care about rejuvenating the city centre. And worst of all, they don't care about the safety of women. And then you get little non-entities like Adam Miller coming up there trying to defend a policy which will actively harm and endanger women. There's nothing you can say. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and I'll speak to you later. Bye.